Hi, welcome back. Continuing to talk about line gear, and as you can probably see from the giant mess behind me, today we're talking about holsters. Now, I've gone through a lot of holsters like most gun owners. I've got a pile of old holsters, most of which I've given away, thankfully. But there's a lot of options out there. What I found has worked best by a lot is the Safariland series. And it's not even close how much farther ahead they are from their competition. For open carry or tactical use. For concealed carry, there's other stuff that works much better. But for open carry, tactical, airsoft, any of that stuff, Safariland pretty much beats their competition by a lot. The thing is, when you go to buy it, they've got a lot of different things, and I just want to show you kind of what to look for so you understand the terminology when you're going to purchase a holster. I'm going to go over the locking systems that they have. I'm going to go over the different mounting systems that are available. Excuse me. Briefly talk about their competition, and then we're going to finish off talking about which specific holsters that they make I'd recommend and how I'd approach buying them. So to begin with, this is the most basic Safariland locking system, which is their ALS system. Yes, I'm using airsoft guns wherever possible. With the ALS system, ALS stands for Automatic Locking System, and when the gun goes into the holster, here, it locks in there. This isn't coming out. In order to release the gun, you push down with your thumb on this little tab here. Now, that is an incredibly natural motion. If I get this in my right hand, when you grab the gun, your thumb will very naturally hit that. So you just very easily, and once you release the lock on the ALS system, there's almost no friction on the pistol. It draws nice and smooth. The next thing we're going to talk about here is the GLS system. This is the grip locking system. On the GLS, you've got a lever down here that you need to push up on in order to release the pistol. Just like the ALS, when you insert the pistol, it automatically locks in. This is not coming out. In order to draw the pistol, you get a high grip. Your middle finger will hit the lever, and out it comes. And you hear that click when you insert it. And just out it comes. You do on the GLS need to put the gun into the holster with a little more force, but it does automatically lock. And once your finger hits this little lever, there's no friction or very little friction, and it's a nice, smooth, even draw. So that's the GLS system. The next option, and I actually don't have a pistol for this holster to demonstrate with, is the Safariland SLS, which is this strap here. I don't actually know what it stands for. The way this works, though, is you've got to push this little tab here with your thumb to push the strap in, and then once you've pushed it down, it can rotate forward. So down, forward, to get it out of the way, and then you can pull the gun out. Now with the SLS system, it does not automatically engage. When you insert the gun, you actually have to manually flip it up. In addition, with the SLS, can actually be combined with the ALS. So if you look in here is the little ALS tab on this particular holster. They make some holsters that have just the SLS. They make some with just the ALS, and obviously some with both, like the one in my hand. The draw on this is a little slower than the ALS only system, but it's actually not that bad, because when your thumb comes down, you'll naturally push forward on the SLS, and then your thumb sweeps backwards and hits the ALS tab. So that's kind of your options on the locking systems. One other thing, the SLS holsters typically cost more money. They just do. So for all of these holsters, they have 3 screw holes on the back that you can use for mounting. This one has got high and low sets, so that's why it's got more holes. This is a better example. You can see 1, 2, 3. And they have this 3-screw mounting pattern. Now, when you buy a holster, it will most likely come with one of their belt loops, which looks like this. And as you can see, it's got rooms for your 3 holes, and then you can adjust the angle depending on which holes you use. Personally, I'm not a fan of these because you've got to bend them a bit to get them to fit your belt, and they just seem uncomfortable. And if you wear a thick belt like I usually do, it doesn't go through the holes much. But generally, if you buy a Safariland ALS or GLS holster, it'll come with one of these, or their paddle mount. And I don't have the entire thing here, but the top 2 screws go through there. Split in place. So you have the top 2 screws go in up here. There's a separate little piece that will stick out on the bottom screw. They've got a little plastic thing. And the idea is this paddle goes inside your pants, your belt and pants go in the gap, and it holds everything on. Frequently when you buy a Safariland ALS or GLS holster, it will come with both the belt mount and this paddle. Now, I find the paddles, normally I like paddle holsters, but the Safariland paddles, you can see they're kind of weird shaped. And if your hips don't perfectly match the shape of this, they're uncomfortable. There are a ton of other mounting systems though. What I found, the cheapest way to get one of these holsters is to just buy the ALS or GLS holster for whichever specific gun you want. And then buy whatever mounting system you want separately. So, if you look at the mounting systems, another option that they have is this clip. It's adjustable for this piece here. You can take out and adjust the height for different height holsters, and it clips down nicely onto your belt. The problem is it's not that secure if you have a heavy gun. This works fine with subcompact guns like the Glock 43. With something the size of a Glock 19 is just the size and weight of a Glock 19, this just doesn't hold very well. And obviously bigger, heavier guns like a steel frame 1911 or Glock 34 is not going to work as well. It's just not as stable. Safariland makes various drop leg systems. I've got 2 of them here, and as you can see, the same 3-hole screw mounting pattern, so you can screw your holster right onto this. I've painted these, hence the weird colors. They make ones like this where it has 1 strap. They make ones like this, which has 2 straps. And then you can get a fabric loop with a clip. This is one of those security clips where you've got to push the middle and then the sides. And it's really hard to take on and off. They also have this belt loop, which you could stick in there instead, and that would fit on the back, kind of higher up and a little more rigid. So there's a lot of mounting options. Now, Safariland also has what they call their QLS and MLS systems. The QLS, the way they both work very similar. You end up with this fork on the back of your holster. And once again, same 3-hole pattern. And that fork fits into a receiver plate like this. This is a QLS receiver plate. And that allows you to very easily move your gun and your holster from a drop leg to a chest mount to pretty much anything else. Because both the receiver plate and the fork use the same 3-hole screw method that's on everything else Safariland. So that's an easy way to be able to move your holster from one system to another. As you'll see, pretty much everything I've got uses that. I've got QLS plates on everything that I use. The next thing they have is what they call the MLS, the MOLLE locking system. And it's very similar to the QLS in that you've got a receiver plate and a fork. The nice thing about this specific fork is this can go into MOLLE. So you could stick this fork into a MOLLE chest rig or a plate carrier and potentially mount that holster to your chest. Once again, same mounting pattern. So you could stick and the way I recommend doing it is you can get an MLS fork that goes into your MOLLE and then attach a QLS plate to the front of the MLS fork. Let me see if I can get one of those. Yes, I do. So there's kind of an example of what that looks like, where I've got an MLS fork in back through the MOLLE and then a QLS receiver plate attached to the MLS fork. Now, they do make receiver plates for the MLS system, so you could take that MLS fork and slide it in here and it would click. The MLS to MLS connections, like an MLS fork and an MLS receiver plate, aren't as strong as the QLS system. It takes more force to break the QLS than it does to break the MLS. But if you're doing maritime stuff and you might fall off a boat and get your gun caught in rigging, you probably want the MLS system because it'll break away easier. And a few people have actually drowned because of their holsters getting stuck. So for that case, the full MLS system is the way to go. For pretty much everyone else, if you want to mount to MOLLE, this thing where you've got an MLS fork, you can see the kind of fangs down here, going through your MOLLE and a QLS receiver plate on top of it is a better way to go. And then you can just take any QLS holster and clip it on there. Okay, so that's mounts, that's locks. Now let's talk about how I'd recommend, if you want to buy one of these, how to actually go about doing it. If you go on Amazon, you can generally find the ALS, oh, I forgot to grab this one. There's another mounting option. They have a mini paddle. Once again, this is kind of like the clip. This only works for really small guns. So you can see this is a single stack 6 round 9mm pistol, really small. And you basically have a very thin paddle. And you can see the little clip thing. And get it on camera. The idea is your belted pants would just kind of flip in that space in between on the paddle. Anyways, the way I'd recommend, if you actually want to go buy one of these, go on Amazon and pick up either an ALS holster or a GLS holster. If you've only got one gun and you don't expect to have any others, get the ALS system. It clicks in. It's a slightly faster draw. If you've got multiple guns that you might want to use, they have what's called the GLS Pro-Fit. This is a GLS Pro-Fit long slide. And this is a GLS Pro-Fit regular length. And the nice thing about the GLS, or the GLS Pro-Fit specifically, is it's universal. They've got a screw there that you can use to adjust the tension between the holster and the gun. It locks to here, it locks to the trigger. So if you've got different guns, you can still adjust it to work. There's a spacer you can put in here to deal with different size trigger guards. But with the GLS Pro-Fit, it'll basically fit any gun. You just have to do that, adjust the tension, and anything within reason, like a Desert Eagle's not going to fit. But you have the nice option of being able to switch guns without needing to buy a new holster. And I'd go with a long slide. The regular length one is designed for like Glock 17, 4.5-inch pistols. I don't know exactly the limits. As you can see, this is a Glock 19 in the regular length GLS, and this is an airsoft Glock 19, so it's got an extra giant thing on the end, and it doesn't stick out. So a regular like Glock 17 or Commander size 1911 will fit fine in this. If you've got a 5-inch gun like Beretta 92 or a Government 1911 like this, you need the long slide version of the holster. Go on Amazon, pick up the base holster, either GLS, ALS, or potentially the Pro-Fit GLS like these are. and then look around for the mount you want. Generally, you can get the holster for about 40 bucks, 35 to 45, somewhere in that range. You can get a QLS fork and receiver plate if you want the flexibility. Those cost about 20 bucks, or you can get the individual pieces for about 10 to 15. And then once you have the holster and optionally the QLS forks and receiver plate, then pick up the mount you want. If you want a drop leg, pick up a drop leg. If you want a belt clip, something like that, pick that up and then attach them together. For some reason, when Safariland sells their holsters as a complete unit with all the pieces together, they bump up the price by 20 bucks. So you're kind of better buying the individual pieces. The disadvantage of buying the individual pieces is you end up with a bag like this of various holster pieces that you're no longer using. To briefly discuss the other options, the biggest competition for the Safariland series is the Blackhawk holsters. The problem with the Blackhawk is, due to the way the locking design is, it's surprisingly easy to accidentally shoot yourself while you draw the pistol. A YouTuber, I think Tex Grubner, famously shot himself while recording a YouTube video. He had the guts to post the video instead of trying to be the tough guy and hide it. He shared what happened, along with the whole medical process of healing. I'll put a link in the description for both his channel and somebody taking his video and putting it to the 1812 Overture, which is absolutely hilarious to watch. But anyways, the Blackhawk holsters have this problem if you can easily accidentally shoot yourself with them when you disengage their locking system. You also have the Bianchi, however they want to pronounce it, M12 military holsters. The nice thing about those is they've got a big flap that will cover the holster and cover the gun. So I was redundant to say cover the holster and the gun. And it covers the gun, keeps them from getting rained on, so you can kind of corrosion resistance a little bit. And they're also incredibly secure, so if you need to jump out of an airplane with your holster, you're not going to lose your gun. The problem with them is they're incredibly secure, so if you need to get your gun in a hurry, you've got to get that flap out of the way, which is this weird system where you like pull down a tab and then you can flip the flap up out of the way and then grab the pistol to get it out. The guys who had to use those will frequently refer to them as the dead man flap, just because if you need you need your gun in a hurry, you're probably going to end up dead. So that's another option. And then there's a huge number of leather holsters on the market. Frankly, like this with everything to connect it costs about 60 bucks. Quality leather holsters start at 120 and go up to about 160 and usually have a long waiting list. So I haven't felt any need to go that way when you can get something like this for half the money. And you also have nylon generic holsters. Eagle Industries used to make nylon holsters, and 1,000 different Chinese companies have made nylon holsters, and unfortunately I can't show you one because I've given away all of mine. The issue you've got with most of those is, let's grab this thing. What they do is you have a piece of fabric that like wraps around the front of the gun on both sides, and they stitch it on, like you got two pieces of fabric coming down here that get stitched together. You either end up with the fabric like at an angle like this, so it doesn't fully cover the trigger, or it comes all the way back here so it fully covers the trigger, but hangs down and blocks you from getting a good grip. Because the fabric will hang down a little bit where the seam is, and that prevents you from getting your hand high enough up. The other problem with those is they tend to break a lot when you get the Chinese ones. I've seen way too many times at an airsoft field where some kid's walking around saying, "Hey, can anyone see my gun? It's still in the holster that just happened to rip off my belt or vest or whatever you had it on." In conclusion, Safariland holsters are the way to go by a long shot. If you've got multiple guns, get the GLS Pro-Fit long slide. If you only got one gun, probably go with an ALS. If you're absolutely paranoid about somebody trying to grab your gun, look at the SLS and ALS combination. And your best bet is probably to buy the holster on Amazon and then buy whatever mounting system you want also on Amazon. And that's it for now. And I'm going to see if I can edit this down as short as possible. Have a good day.